Hey all, this is Mr. Hammond, and in this video I'm going to show you what is my first attempt at assisting students in helping them monitor their progress and setting goals. So the first idea that I have here is using a Google form, and then it will automatically send the data to a Google Sheet, which would populate into a graph, which is graphs are just a little bit easier to kind of follow and monitor. So I figured that would be a good way for the students to be able to track their progress. And I figured the Google Forms is just an easy way to input or enter data. So it works best if you're monitoring specific data points because those are just easier to graph. For example, here we have goal reading assessment score and the specific reading assessment score. So there will be essentially two line graphs that will kind of flow with each other so students can see if they're reaching their goals for reading. Same thing for math and then spelling. You could change these based on what your class is or what classes you teach. So to start, to set this up, you want to make sure that when you make a copy of this, that the responses are being sent to the sheet that has the specific formulas in it. Because I have the formulas all set up and ready to go, but you just have to make sure it's sent to that sheet. So we're going to click on responses. And then when you click on this view responses in sheet, actually not view responses in sheets, but when you click on that, it's going to ask you, hey, where do you want to send this, essentially. So let's go ahead and pull up a new, nope, not a new sheet, a form actually. Forms.new. It's just going to pull up a new form. That way you can see what you'll need to do as far as the process. So you would click on this. It's going to ask, do you want to create a new one or would you like to select one that you already have? We're going to select the one we already have. It's going to take us to Google Drive, and then we are going to select that form. So I labeled mine student goals responses. So it's going to be something like that when you copy it to your drive. So once that is all set up from the Google Forms perspective, we're going to go to the Google Sheet. And there's a couple things that we're going to have to do to this Google Sheet to get it all set up. So the data will auto-populate on this first tab. So anytime a student fills out that form, you're going to see all that data just right here. It's a big data dump. So you're probably not going to get much from that, but you won't edit it either. And I would not change the name of this tab because it's going to affect the other tabs that we're going to create for each student. So you'll see this first student, Denny Hammond, and you can see what would happen if and when students fill out this form. So as they fill out the form, you're going to see a timestamp, the email address, and all their goal and actual assessment data there, along with this nice graph over here so they can see how they are doing with regards to their goal. The blue represents the goal score, and the red represents what they actually scored. And you can see the date and so on and so forth. So we're going to want to create one of these for every student that we have. So what I would recommend doing is if there's anything that you want to manipulate with the graphs or change, you can do that. If the numbers here are too much, you just want the lines, that's something that you can do. You can remove those. But once you have everything the way you want it, you can go ahead and make copies of this tab. So you would just hit that arrow next to the name and duplicate the tab. I would rename the tabs probably by student name, but you can do it however you want. Now the next piece of this is we want to make sure it's pulling the right data for John Black, for example. So we need to select A3 because that is where the formula is. And you're going to notice this fancy formula here. And then we are going to, between the single quotation, we are going to enter their email address. So the email address that you expect them to fill out the form from. So a school email address or whatever it is. So typically after the @ sign is the same. So once you change that once, you shouldn't have to change it again. But then you would have to change, let's say John Black was in our organization. I could just change that to John.Black at Adena Local Schools. And then notice all the data disappeared because John has not filled out this form just yet. Then you would need to do that for each student. So we have a Denny Hammond, we have a John Black. We would just create one of those for every student. So this form is going to be great because you can see all of the student goal progress all in one spot. The next thing you need to do is make sure that the students can see their student goal progress. So if we want Denny Hammond to see his progress, and we don't want him necessarily to see everyone else's progress, just his. So there's a way to do that in Google Sheets by going to File, Share, and we are going to publish to web. And when you get here, you have to make sure that you don't just hit publish right away. We don't want to share the entire document because that's going to share all of the other students as well. We want to hit that drop down menu. We're going to select Denny Hammond because that's what we want him to see. I would prefer a web page view, but you do have some other options here that you can ways you can share with the student. So I choose a web page. This is the link we want to share with Denny Hammond. So to do that, I mean, you could copy and you could send it through Google Classroom or other methods, but they do have a convenient little email tab here that you can click on Gmail, and it kind of sets up the email for you. All you need to do is enter their email address and maybe a subject, and if you want to enter any other information within that. Just to show you what this link looks like for a student, let's go ahead and copy that and paste it into a new tab. And this is exactly what the student will see. So they'll see their name at the top, they'll see the data, and they'll see the graphs. So notice that I cannot do anything to this. It's just like a web page. There's nothing I can edit from here. So they can't go in and change any of these numbers from this point of view. So the next piece of this is if I want John Black to have access to his tab, I would select down here, drop down, go down to John Black. Notice it has the 3 goals there as well. We're just going to click on John Black. We want to share that page. We're going to publish it, which is going to create a link that we want to share with John Black. So we're going to click on Publish, click OK. And then this link is the one that we'll share with John Black, and we can do that through email. Again, copy that. We'll paste it into a new tab just so you can see again what that looks like. So again, John Black doesn't have any data yet, so this is what he would see. So you just need to do that as a setup process for each student. Once you have that set up, the only thing you need to do is as students come in, you might need to create a new tab for them. But other than that, it should be pretty self-sufficient after you get it set up. If you need any assistance with getting all of this set up, because I know not everyone's going to monitor just reading, math, spelling, for example, and maybe there are different types of data points that you want to enter. If you want some help troubleshooting or brainstorming how to set this up for your class, please let me know. I'd be happy to help. And hopefully this is something you find helpful. Thanks.